everybody. You're tuned in to another episode of the Flea Flicker Show. I am your host, Fred. That is your other host, Dre. We are the co-hosts that you will be with on this week's pod. Dre, we drop new episodes whenever we can in the off season because it's the off season. Subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on social media at Flea Flicker Show. Dre, tell them what we got going on.
But today, the big thing we're going to be doing is the free agency. Today is March 7th as we record. This probably won't be out till like March 8th, maybe. And that is just a few days out from free agency. I think it starts on the 11th, so it's like 3 days out. But along with free agency, we're going to hit the franchise tag news because that has happened since our last recording. And there's a few big notable names in there. Well, they're pretty much all big notable names with the franchise tag.
Franchise tags are going to be big notable names, but yeah, let's get into it though, man. Let's get into the grind. And for starters, I mean, there's some retirement news that we need to talk about.
Yes, sir.
Jason Kelce.
Yeah.
Yeah, we put it on our on the channel on social media, and it was on the Instagram. I don't know if anyone saw that, but sad day for me. I see Jason Kelce hanging up his cleats, and it was a sad day for Kelce. Both brothers, they were both bawling their eyes out, and it is apparent. Like a lot of people are saying, it's one of the best retirement speeches they've seen because he's been working on it for like 7 years. But then apparently, like nothing that was in his speech was what he had been working on that whole time, according to his wife.
All I heard about it was that he talked about Nick Foles' dick. That's the only thing I heard about that.
Yeah. That was a good quote. What was it along the lines of like, I'll never forget in the Super Bowl when Nick Foles, who had the biggest dick in the building, goes up to Doug Peterson and just says, "Let's run it. Let's run the Philly special." And you could tell he wanted to say that Doug Peterson was like, "Let's fucking do it," but he said, "Let's do
it." Philly.
Yeah.
Jason Kelce. Good for him. He's retiring. He made a lot of money. He's pretty famous now, and I'm sure he's going to do something after this. So
yeah, and they're selling. They're changing media platforms on their podcast and selling the media platform rights to another company for like $100 million.
Gee, of course.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. But there is other retirement news on the Giants side. My team, Darren Waller actually is very seriously considering retiring. Apparently, yeah, that came
out. Only good player.
It's ridiculous. We literally just traded for him last year, and now he's saying like, I'm not sure, I'm not like 100% in, and that's not fair to my teammates. So I'm gonna just try to decide, hopefully sooner rather than later, if I'm hanging him up or not. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man! Free agency is a couple days out. What do you mean?
Free agency is a couple days out. He didn't even give you much last year because he was always injured.
One touchdown.
The free agent market's thin because Dalton Schultz re-signed with the Houston Texans for 3 years, so he was the top target there. But yeah, that sucks. That sucks.
Yeah, we do have a good backup, but that's just surprising news that I didn't need.
Yeah.
So, before we get into the franchise tag, I did want to hit some news. I'm just going to kind of go over it quick, but there's cuts and signings that I just wanted to mention. So I'll hit some cuts first. MVS, the receiver for the Chiefs, got chopped. Kevin Byard, you know him, he got cut. The Vikings cut their running back, Alexander Madison. That was a little surprising for me, but at the same time, he wasn't like amazing as a running back for them. J.C. Jackson got cut. Will Dissly got cut. Jamal Adams got cut for Seattle. That was a horrible trade for them. That was 2 first-round picks.
They also cut Quandre Diggs.
Quandre Diggs, yeah. I guess they're making moves there. Eric Kendricks got cut. Russell Wilson, I don't remember if that happened when we did the last pod, but
it did not. It happened like right after we released the last one, but that's not even official at this point right now. They are going to release him if he cannot get a trade in place. So he has all rights on their side to go ahead and find a trade partner. But with his contract,
Yeah,
no one's trading for him, so he's
no
gonna
one's
get cut.
trading for him. He's getting cut, and he's going to be designated as a June 1st cut. And they did give him, yeah, he's going to be talking to teams, but yeah, he'll be
Yeah,
somewhere. Who knows? Shaq Barrett got cut. My boy Nick Gates got cut by the Commanders. Naheem Hines, for a bit of fantasy news, got cut. The Bills cut Tre'Davious White, and Justin Simmons. Actually, I think that was today he got cut,
he did.
which was big
Um,
name.
and Patrick Surtain is pissed about it and wants out of Denver, so that'll be interesting. A couple other ones though. I don't know if AJ Dillon was cut because he had a year left of his contract. Was
Did
he
he?
cut or
I did not
is it
see. I'm
just
not
being
sure.
rumored? Okay, I know Jordan Poyer was cut from Buffalo as well.
Hmm. AJ Dillon. I'm gonna look him up real quick. I know he's. I mean, the Packers don't really care too much about him. Says he's
I
a
mean,
free agent,
okay.
so
I know he was available. I thought I'd seen that he still had a year left on his contract, but could be wrong there. Who knows? He's not really a top priority for anybody. He
yeah.
certainly should be picked up as like a secondary back, though. He has a lot of talent there in that regard. He should be used in goal line situations for teams. And look at those thighs, like
Yeah,
dudes,
somebody could
dudes,
pick him up.
dudes giving Barkley a run for his money for Quadzilla right there.
Yeah, somebody could pick him up, kind of how the Eagles picked up Rashad Penny as like a
Yeah.
try him out type deal.
Except the
So,
Eagles never fucking use Penny.
yeah, that was pretty
I
weird.
don't even know if he got
What
one
shot?
snap for us this year. Like that,
Yeah,
it
I
was
don't
just
know.
wild. Yeah.
One other name that hasn't gotten cut but is rumored to be cut soon is Joe Mixon with the Bengals as well. Like I said, that hasn't happened yet, but
No,
it's rumored that it's going to happen. And
I
then
would
a
not
few,
mind that because I have the backup that they got out of Illinois this past year in the Dynasty League, so I would not mind that.
yeah, the running back room is stacked too. If Joe
It
Mixon gets
really
added,
is.
it'll just make it even more stacked.
Yeah, because no
And
one values running backs anymore, so they don't get paid.
it's really sad.
They don't get paid. It sucks. I love running backs. We love running backs. I guess that's the old school mentality there with us. We
Yeah,
like the good RBs, but
I was a running
yeah,
back.
let's get into guys that were franchise tagged.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit signings real quick first though,
Yeah. Okay.
because that's like hand in hand with it. Like you already mentioned, Dalton Schultz. He signed 3 year, $36 million contract to stay with the Texans. He was like the only decent tight end on the market, really.
He really
Uh,
was.
so that's sad for people that need tight ends. Um, the Buccaneers they re-signed Mike Evans, 2 years, $41 million contract. It's a big contract, but he was the big name at the receiver room, so it was a good. I thought he was going to get re-signed, but it's still big news.
Yeah, and that is big news because it's also moving the needle for Baker Mayfield re-signing with Tampa. It was said that he wasn't going to give Tampa a hometown discount, but now that Mike Evans is back in the fold, it seems more likely that something's going to get worked out with them for him to stay in Tampa.
Yeah. Another guy, your old boy, I guess, Zach Ertz signed with Washington. That's not really big news, but I thought you
No,
might like that name.
I
So,
mean he might start for them because they also let go of
oh yeah, their
Logan
tight end
Thomas.
Logan. Yep.
Yep.
So yeah, that's true. Micah Parsons, 5th year contract option got picked up. I think that's the first 5th year option to get picked up this year. Obviously, that was going to happen.
Obviously,
Mitch Trubisky, who got cut by the Steelers, signed a 2 year, $5 million deal to be the Bills' backup once again. So
once
who knows what
again.
happens with him there?
And a little
And
bit
then,
different of a tag that went in place though. I don't know if you want to call this a signing or a franchise tag, but Kyle Duggar getting that transition tag.
yeah, by the Pats, right?
Yeah, yeah. Or not?
Yeah, that was
What was it?
interesting.
Yeah, Pats.
Yeah, the transition tag basically just means that he can still talk to other teams, and then the Pats they can basically agree to sign him to whatever team agrees to a deal with him. So
Hmm.
it's kind of like a weird contract because no one really wants to talk to him now because like they're gonna do all that work just for the Pats to re-sign him anyway. But
Seriously, it's like an NBA early bird rates where it's like you can get offers, but we can offer more, or we can offer the same. So we get away. We are able to rebuttal by actually seeing what you're being offered. So, I mean, in terms of a team, that's a great option if you know that you can beat out the market. So,
True. I really wanted the Giants to use that tag for Xavier McKinney, but they did not. The Bills also re-signed Taylor Rapp. So that was all my signing news. Yeah, let's get into the franchise tag, huh?
yeah, they're pretty much who we had said. So, I mean, franchise tags, you got Justin Matabuki for the Ravens. You got Josh Allen for the Jags. Jalen Johnson for the Bears. Antoine Winfield for Tampa Bay. T. Higgins with Cincy. Ryan Burns with Carolina. Michael Pittman with Indy. And then that transition tag with Kyle Duggar. But that's pretty much who we said. Did I miss
Yeah,
anyone
that's
there?
pretty much everyone. Did you say Josh Allen and Brian Burns too?
Yeah. I said those guys.
Okay.
We thought Chris Jones was going to get a franchise tag. He did not. Looks like he's going to work out a new deal, though. It seems like it's going to happen any minute now. It probably will be done by end of day today, and by the time this is released, he'll be a Chief still. I did miss L'Jarius Sneed. He was
Mm,
franchise tagged by Kansas City, but it is anticipated that he's going to be traded. It's
yeah,
kind of 50-50 there whether he's going to stay or be traded. So
yeah.
he
I
should
thought
be a
that was pretty
heavily talked
interesting.
about name.
Yeah, he's like the classic tag and trade guy,
Yeah,
apparently. Uh, let's start free agency with
yeah. Let's
him,
just
I guess.
talk about some of these free agents. You want to start with the quarterbacks? So I mean, quarterbacks. Russell Wilson. It's the hot name right now. He's not a free agent yet, but he's going to be. And I have him right in the same ballpark as Kirk Cousins. Um, and I don't know about how you I don't know how you have it, but I have them essentially signing with whatever team the other one doesn't sign for. So I have Kirk Cousins either
Yeah,
going to Atlanta or Minnesota, and then I have Russell Wilson either going to Atlanta or staying with Minnesota or going to Minnesota in that respect as well.
yeah. No, I completely agree with you with both of those guys, Russell Wilson and Kirk Cousins. Minnesota and Atlanta seem to be the two teams that mainly come up with those guys.
Mhm.
The only other team I guess I would add is maybe the Patriots for Russell Wilson, but eh. There's another name
Yeah,
that we actually could talk about that we will
yeah.
talk
I
about for
also
him a little
think
bit.
Patriots could be in line for Russ, but only if it's a short-term deal because they're going to have that draft that draft pick at number 3, who's probably going to be Jaden Daniels. So um,
Yeah,
it's Jaden Daniels, right?
Jaden Daniels. Yeah,
Yeah, it's probably going to be him. And they're not going to want to have a long-term investment there at quarterback, but they do want a bridge. So if Russell is willing to be that bridge and increase his market for next year, that's perfectly capable option. Jesus Christ.
yeah.
Yeah,
Honestly, we could see it like kind of how Joe Flacco did it this year, where Russell Wilson just kind of sits out and waits for a spot to open up for him. It all depends on how the carousel works out. Like if Kirk goes to Minnesota, then Atlanta's going to be looking for somebody. Maybe they trade for Justin Fields. Maybe
yeah.
they pick
That's
up
also
Russell
going to
Wilson. I
be
don't know.
Justin Fields is going to be a huge domino there because he's young as well. Where Kirk Cousins and Russell Wilson are not young. So if you have a team like Atlanta who might not be a contender at this point, uh, I think they'd probably opt to go for Justin Fields that can build and grow with their young players rather than Russell Wilson, who has a couple years left.
Yeah, I think they would go the Justin Fields route too. That depends on how much what the Bears really want for him, but his market's apparently pretty small, which kind of surprises me, but maybe not too much because there's not too many teams really looking for that quarterback outside of the draft.
I had a
Um,
wild card for Kirk Cousins um, as Denver because
Denver,
Denver was pretty good the back half of last year. Um, I think they have a good amount of receiving options for a decent quarterback, and where they're going to pick in the draft. If they pick a quarterback in the draft, it's probably not going to be one of the top tier guys. They might get a JJ McCarthy, but
yeah,
I don't think JJ McCarthy is ready to jump in and be a day one starter. So I could see a Kirk Cousins going there, being the QB for a year or two, and then they learn from him.
yeah, that's not a bad choice. The only issue with that is the whole Russell Wilson dead
Mhm.
cap money, because with Russell Wilson getting cut, that's literally the largest dead cap hit in
ever.
history.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous.
So I don't know if they'd want to tie up that much money with also having Kirk Cousins on the
Yeah,
fold, because he's got to be
yeah, that's
expensive.
true. Yeah, got to think about the salary cap, I guess, and that might not make sense.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, let's jump to someone else to stay up, Russell and
Yeah. Sticking with New England, we talked about it actually before. We both pretty much think Jacoby Brissett is going to be with the Patriots.
yeah,
He's probably going to be
that bridge.
that starter before Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, bridge QB there.
Bridge quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's probably going to be him. It could be him or Minshew. Minshew's being talked about in a lot of circles where teams do want him to be a bridge. Because it worked out great for the Colts, and he was a perfectly good backup for the Eagles. So I think he's going to steadily have a good job in the NFL as that role. But I do think Brissett is going to be the Patriots guy. He's familiar with everyone there. He's got the experience in New England, so it's a pretty seamless signing.
Yeah, Patriots fans, from what I understand, already like him too from his time with them. So, yeah, I think that just makes too much sense. And then we can't get out of the quarterback conversation without talking briefly about Baker Mayfield as well, because he is a free agent. Although everything seems to be pointing to him re-signing with the Buccaneers. It's really the only team that makes sense in my head, anyways, because he did good with them last year.
It is. It makes perfect sense for him to stay there. I don't really see him going anywhere else. Uh, as like a wild card again, I had the Falcons just as somebody else possibly,
If they
just because
if they
they're
don't
not gonna.
if they miss on Kirk maybe or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they miss on Kirk, if they don't want to go in for Russ, if they can't work out a trade for Fields, I think potentially Baker could be an option. But at the end of the day, I think it's like a 98% chance he's going to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If we're throwing out wild cards, maybe we could maybe we could throw out the other team too, Minnesota, if they don't
Yeah.
extend Kirk. Who knows?
Yeah,
But
because I
yeah,
mean, hell,
Tampa Bay.
any quarterback should be fine going to Minnesota. I mean, they have fucking amazing receivers. So,
Yeah, they get
yeah, it's not
Justin
like
Jefferson.
Justin
Come on,
Jefferson, T.J. Hawkinson. They get blanking on his name, the freaking rookie that they got, Addison.
Addison. Yeah,
So they got good receivers. Any quarterback should want to go there.
there's like a lot of news about Kirk going to Atlanta. I really think it's all a smokescreen. I think he's staying in Minnesota.
You get more
I
money,
really
right?
do. Yeah, but
There's more
let's
demand, it's more
move
money.
to one of the bigger things, the bigger positions for free agency this year. We mentioned it a little bit already, but the running backs, it is
Yeah.
absolutely loaded at the position. Like every free agent, every big running back you can think of, damn near, except Christian McCaffrey, is going to be a free agent. He's like the
Yeah, I
only
mean,
one
who do we
not.
got? We got Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler. We talked about AJ Dillon. There's Josh Jacobs. You got Naheem Hines, Alexander Madison, Zach Moss. There's some options
Tony
here.
Pollard, Devin
Tony Pollard,
Singletary,
yeah.
DeAndre
I
Swift,
forget about
J.K.
Pollard,
Dobbins.
dude. Yeah,
So many.
so many, so many.
So many legit starters.
Yeah, let's start from like the top down. I mean, so like up to you on who you consider top, but like it could be. Let's start with the
I
king.
know
Let's
who
start
I
with the king.
consider. No,
Let's
no,
start with
no.
King Henry.
No, no,
No,
no,
you gotta
no.
start with
We're
Saquon.
starting with my king. We're starting
All
with my king. Saquon Barkley, baby. We're starting with him. We can go with your king right after, but I want to hit Saquon real quick.
It's not my king. It's the
First.
king.
You're right. You're right. He is the king, but Saquon Barkley is my king. So
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about him first. I really want him to resign with the Giants. I do, but it seems to me that all signs are pointing to him going someplace else right now, and that really makes me sad. There's one team that's really been linked to him, and that is the Houston Texans. That's who I think is going to end up signing him. I have no doubt in my mind that somebody's going to offer him more money than the Giants if he still wants to come back to the Giants. That's going to be his choice, I guess. But yeah, the Texans I think are the team to look for really for Saquon.
Yeah, I'm on the same page there. I think it's going to be the Texans. There are teams that have mutual interest apparently. Like
damn near every team in the league, I think.
Yeah, I mean the Eagles are talked about as having mutual interest between both parties there, but I don't think it's going to happen. The Eagles don't typically spend much on running back. And I think he's just going to be priced out of what they can do in terms of running back, what they want to do for a running back. So I
Mm-hmm.
think he's going to Houston. They got a lot of money. They're young and they're very talented and can go a lot of places. So
Yeah, I will say another team to look for, I guess, would be Chicago. The Bears are apparently like really, really contemplating signing one of these big name running backs, and I saw today that they have been linked to Saquon, so maybe.
but like, why? Like, their running back room is so jammed as it is. Why? Like,
I don't
they
know.
have Rashawn Johnson, who they drafted last year, who's a very, very good young back. They have, fuck is his name? They have Foreman, also out of Texas. And then they
Yep.
have
Oh, Khalil Herbert. There we go.
Khalil Herbert. Yeah, I mean, so they have three good running backs, one of which was a rookie last year. So um, I don't know. I feel like it would be a stretch for them. I feel like it's not allocating their resources properly, but I guess that's pretty typical of who Chicago is right now. So
Yeah, I'd say so. Let's move to the next guy, Derrick Henry. What do you think for him? I
yeah,
know I've seen one team linked to him. So
yeah, Derrick Henry. I got a couple teams here. I think Carolina could potentially be an option, and they could offer a lot of money. Um, I also have the Vikings, since the Vikings don't have a running back, and I have Baltimore. I ultimately think that Baltimore, if they can make it work for the money, I think that could be a great fit.
yeah, dude, I've seen a lot of links between Baltimore and Derrick Henry. So I'm on the same page as you there. That's what I think is going to happen, and he would be phenomenal. The running
Amazing.
game with him and Lamar would be insane in Baltimore. So that'd be a
And
huge
he's an
signing, and that's what I think.
underrated pass catcher. He's an underrated pass catcher. I don't think he gets enough credit for that. It is part of his game, but it's not like he's a McCaffrey or a Barkley, but
Yeah,
he is capable there.
yeah. One other team that I saw some for some reason linked to him was Miami. That one didn't make much sense to me.
Yeah.
They have
I don't,
Devon
yeah.
A Chain and
Yeah, I've seen that and I'm like,
yeah,
no fucking way. Like they drafted A Chain last year. It was
Mostert.
fucking insane. They already have Mostert. Like they're not gonna go and pick up a running back. Like come on, they don't need to.
Yeah,
Like you
didn't
get
make
those
much
guys.
sense.
They're what the top running team in the league, and they didn't have a big name. So like, what's that guy gonna change based on what they are? The narrative already is there. Like those guys can get the job done more better than anyone else in the league. What's that good?
Yeah,
How is that gonna change?
weird.
Yeah,
Let's move
it's
to
very weird.
Josh Jacobs for the Raiders running back.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like he's going to be going back to the Raiders. There's a few teams that he's been linked to, like everybody too. It's really hard to like kind of pick a team for him. I think, in my opinion. Um, but since I heard Chicago was apparently looking for a big name guy, that's who I'm going with. I think he might end up signing with Chicago. Yeah, there's a couple
Talia,
other teams.
Talia is asking if we were talking about Travis Kelsey wearing sunglasses inside of the press conference, but it's not what we were talking about. We should have talked about it because it was fucking ridiculous. You were crying, people could tell your face was like a fucking tomato. But anyway, back to Josh Jacobs. You said he's probably not going to sign with Vegas. I agree. I had them as like the seventh team down the list of people who
Yeah.
could potentially look at him. There are a lot of teams I think who could be in the running for him. One of which is also Houston. Um,
Hmm.
Houston. I had New England. I had the Giants on there as well. And
Could be.
then I also have Philly being in the discussion. I think Philly is going to be in the discussion heavily on most running backs
Yeah.
and see who they can get at a under market value.
Yeah, I agree. I also have Chicago and Dallas on there and Baltimore, but
Yeah, I forget
ultimately,
about
I don't know
Dallas, and I
why.
think I leave Dallas off just because I didn't want them to sign anybody. But I do think Dallas makes a lot of sense for Josh Jacobs. Um, for Chicago, I see them in all these conversations, but like I left them off every running back list because I think it's just fucking stupid if they overpay for a running back, and
I
I
agree
can't
with
put
you.
that in my projections just because I can't even fathom it. It doesn't make sense.
No, I agree with you that it's stupid, but I also think it's going to happen just based
Yeah.
on all unless it's all smoke. So I actually think Josh Jacobs is going to get signed by Chicago. I think they're going to really pull off. I don't know why, but maybe he's just trying to help fix, like, keep his job by just signing a bunch of big name guys. I don't know, but
All right, guys, we got four running backs. Who's gonna get the ball? Um,
yeah,
yeah, let's
yeah.
go to another one though. How about Austin Eckler?
Yeah, that's another one that's big and linked to like everyone.
Yeah.
I
I think
actually,
Austin Eckler. I actually
mhm.
think he could stay with the Chargers. Harbaugh seems to really like him and wants him in there, so I think that would work. Another team I think would really work for Austin Eckler, and you hate it whenever I bring him up, but I think he would work for Philly. I
Yeah,
think he would
no,
fit
he's on my
Philly.
list too.
Um, of the running backs on this list that we've talked about so far, I think he makes the most sense there. I don't think they're going to be priced out of him, especially how last year went and how injury prone he was there. I think that could be a situation that works, but I also have Indy and then Las Vegas on there as well. But
Gotcha. My top team actually is a team that we kind of mentioned earlier, but haven't talked about yet for the running backs. It's actually Green Bay. I think he could be a good chance. There could be a good shot of him and what's the other guy's name? Green? Is that their? No, he's their old running
Jones,
back.
Aaron Jones,
Jones. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I was thinking like Amon Green. Yeah, Aaron Jones and Austin Eckler. I think could be a good duo there, and they want to replace AJ
AJ
Dillon.
Dillon, yeah.
And I don't think Austin Eckler, like you said, I don't think he's going to be super expensive. He had a bad year and he's older,
Yeah,
so I think they could get him at a discount deal basically. So
yeah. Yeah, I
makes
think that's
sense.
going to be the how it's going to work there. Like teams that can utilize either a couple backs to be an effective backfield. I don't think he's going to get like a lead back role.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Now
Um,
there's
yeah,
three running backs that I think are going to get re-signed. I want to see what you think about this. I think
but
Tony Pollard is going to go back to Dallas. I think your guy DeAndre Swift is going to re-sign it in Philly, and I think Devin Singletary, even if they make a big play, it seems like he wants to go back to Houston. So
I do think Singletary is going to go back to Houston. I think that's 100% in the cards. Swift, I would love to see him back in Philly. I don't know if he'll be priced out because he did have a lot of rushing yards this year and was very effective when used.
hmm
But I would love to have him in Philly. And again, that kind of fits with Tony Pollard. Kind of fits in. I think he's either going to stay in Dallas or go to Philly if they don't re-sign Swift. Because I think there's a lot of rumors of him wanting to reunite with Kellen Moore.
I saw that.
Um, and he fits that Philly backfield. He's shifty. He's a little smaller. I think he does fit that backfield pretty well. Kind of along the same line of Swift or of Austin Eckler. I think it would work there. But I can also
Yeah.
see the resigns.
And then I did want to mention J.K. Dobbins because he used to be a big name guy. I know he's been very injured over the years, but I kind of think since Philly's been linked to so many guys and I didn't give them one of the other big guys, I just threw J.K. Dobbins to Philly. I think he'd be super cheap. I think he'd be super cheap option, and Philly seems to like signing cheap, used to be big name guys. So I was like,
Yeah.
J.K. Dobbins, why not?
Yeah, I mean they could sign him. I don't know if he's going to play too much. He could be that role that what's his name came from with Seattle. Um,
Rashad Penny, yeah,
Rashad Penny, yeah, signed the
yeah,
often injured guy that everyone knows his potential, and he just never plays. But yeah, I'm just going to speed through the rest of the running backs so we can get to some wide receiver action a little bit or something. AJ Dillon, I think I have him as a complimentary back. I think he's going to go someplace that already has a shifty back in place. Just needs a guy to pound in the rock there at the goal line. Possibly Houston if they strike out on one of the big names and they want to pair Singletary with AJ Dillon. Zach Moss, I think, will just come back to Indy. I think it was a match made in heaven there with
yeah,
him and fucking JT. Uh, but those shifty running backs like Singletary, like Naheem Hines, I think Naheem Hines is going to go to another 1-2 punch backfield and go to where there's a power back in place. So I'm thinking Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Kansas City, or Houston if they strike
mm,
out on Singletary and sign one of the bigger backs.
yeah, yeah. I like all that. I didn't look too much into those guys, but yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I
that all that
just
makes sense.
yeah just went through those
Let's
quick, but
quickly go through like tight end and O line. There's only like three names I even wanted to talk about. Um, so Hunter Henry, since Dalton Schultz, I wanted to mention one tight end. Hunter Henry, I guess, would be the top guy now. It seems
Hunter
like New
Henry and
England
Gasicki.
and Gesicki, yeah. It seems like New England is like not going to re-sign him, or they're trying to, and it's just not working out. So I put like the Rams as a possible spot for Hunter Henry. I guess there's some sort of small link there, so I don't know. Who knows where he's
Yeah,
going to end up? Maybe the Giants. They might need a tight end, you know.
yeah, I agree.
And then
I think Gesicki or Hunter Henry. I think Rams make sense for those guys there.
yeah, and then O line. I only got two names: Tyron Smith from the Cowboys and Mike Onwenu from the Patriots. They're like the two biggest names. There's quite a few decent names, but nobody really wants to hear about O line. I don't think anyway.
No, no,
So
no.
I don't think Mike Onwenu might go back to the Patriots, but I have the Titans stealing him from the Patriots because they seem to need like O line help, and he makes sense there to me. And then Tyron Smith definitely not going to go back to Dallas. I think the Rams actually they're going to be looking for O line help, and Tyron Smith made sense to me there.
I actually have him being heavy on the market, but I have the Jets looking at him, probably being priced out of him. I have the Giants looking at him as well. I have him
Yeah.
going to Washington though.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
I think Washington has a lot of money. They're gonna have a young quarterback. They're gonna want to protect, and they're just gonna give him more money than people can.
I could see that for sure. Let's hit the receivers real quick before I got to get out of here. We talked
Yeah.
about Mike Evans. We talked about T. Higgins. We talked about Michael Pittman. The only thing with T. Higgins is he could, in theory, be traded, tagged and traded. I think Cincinnati's going to sign him, but teams like Chicago or the Jets or maybe the Panthers are going to be really looking at him and trying to
Yeah.
offer something, I think. So don't be surprised if he's not in Cincinnati next year.
No, I agree. I think he definitely could be traded to a situation where he can be that numero.
Yeah. And with Evans, T. Higgins, and Pittman all off the market for the immediate future, at least until Higgins and Pittman sign, that leaves Calvin Ridley as the lone dog. He's in line to have a hefty payday after missing all of 2 years ago and looking decent with the Jags. I didn't even think he looked great, but he looked good
No, but
enough, I
he
guess,
got
to be the
open a
number one
lot,
guy.
and Lawrence just didn't see him or didn't hit him. So
Mm,
they were not on the same page a lot, but he got open a lot, which is all the receiver really needs to do, and he caught what usually came to him. So I think Calvin Ridley can get a fucking payday. Um, before those franchise tags, I had him re-signing with the Jags. Now I don't know.
hmm
I think he could go to the Carolina Panthers though. They have money. They need really reliable receiving for Bryce Young, and I think he would make a good option there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's three teams that are all in like kind of a similar situation. They have a lot of money and they don't have like a number one receiver. Carolina is one of them. I also have New England and I have Tennessee as three options that make way too much sense for Calvin Ridley. And I
He's going to
think,
make way more money than he deserves.
yeah, I think kind of like how the Jaguars' current number one receiver is. He got way overpaid during his time, but he's shown up
He's
since he
shown
got
up.
paid. So.
Yeah, that proved to be a good signing. I think Calvin Ridley makes sense for really any team that doesn't have a receiver and they're just going to overpay. In that
Yeah,
same boat, Marquise Brown as well. Marquise
yeah, he's the other
Brown
one.
is another receiver. He's kind of the same type of player as Calvin Ridley. And I have him being looked at by the Panthers, Titans as well. But I also have being looked at by the Giants.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
The
He
Giants are
seems to
definitely in the
fit
market.
people the Giants like. So
The only thing with the Giants, I think they could be linked to any of the big name receivers, but they seem to really want Gabe Davis, the free agent from the Bills. So I think Gabe Davis is going to go to the Giants. Hollywood Brown, I think, is in a similar path as Calvin Ridley, where I thought for sure he was going to resign with Arizona, and then all the tags happened, and I'm like, somebody's going to outbid Arizona for him.
yeah,
I actually have the Jets doing it. I think they're going to want another target for Aaron Rodgers,
you and I were
and
talking about this yesterday, where the Jets are gonna go out and get somebody. I don't know who it's gonna be,
mhm.
but it's gonna be somebody at wide receiver. It's just a matter of who.
Yeah. So for right now, I think that could be Hollywood Brown,
Yeah,
and Hollywood in New York would be interesting. He'd
interesting.
be really good with Aaron Rodgers, to be honest. So, do you have
Um,
anybody else at receiver?
Yeah, it is just a couple guys who are a little bit overlooked. Kendrick Bourne, I think he did a lot
Mm.
in New England with bad quarterback play. So I think he's a very underrated receiver pickup, and I have a lot of teams looking at him. So I have the Jets looking at him as an option. I have Philly looking at him as an option there to go to replace their wide
Mm.
receiver three, but I think he's going to want more of a role. I have Dallas looking at him as well. Is Brandon Cook still there?
Yeah, he is.
Okay. So that'll
They
probably
lost their third guy though.
yeah, so I mean it's a similar aspect to what Philly would look at him in that sense, but I don't think those would really work out. I have Chicago looking at him. I think it'd be a very good number two. I have KC looking at him if they don't acquire
Mm.
anyone through the draft, and then the Bills replacing Gabe Davis with him. And I ultimately think it'll be either the Jets or the Bills.
Yeah, those are good. Yeah, those are good options. I think he's going to be another guy that probably gets overpaid after Ridley and Hollywood
Yeah,
Brown probably. Another thing to think about though is the wide receiver draft is huge this year. There's so many big
huge,
names
a
that
lot
some
of
teams
names.
might not want to overpay.
Yeah, and again, like this is all on a bubble. Like we're saying, who needs a wide receiver, but who's to say they don't draft one? And it's hard to say whether somebody's going to sign or draft. We just have to address the needs. Last wide receiver I have is Taj Boyd, or
Yeah,
Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd.
Tyler Boyd. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think Tyler Boyd is underrated. He was the wide receiver three there in Cincy, but was very, very reliable when targeted. And I think he would be an excellent wide receiver three someplace else. And I think that's what he's going to get. I think he's going to get a wide receiver three role. And I actually have him going to Philly.
yeah. Could happen. I've seen him connected to the Giants too, but the Giants are definitely going to get somebody. I really just think it's going to be Gabe Davis. Um, One last thing I wanted to note: you mentioned Kansas City.
Yeah.
Today I was looking up where T. Higgins could be traded to, and Kansas City
Fuck that.
came up as an option, and I was like, "There's no effing way Cincinnati would let
Fuck
that happen.
that. No
There's
way.
no way the Bengals would let that happen. I
No
don't believe
way. No way.
it."
That's not happening. Like Hassan Reddick for the Eagles is rumored to be on his way out in a trade, and the Eagles are probably going to get like a second or a third and a fifth. And I saw a lot of rumors about the Dallas Cowboys being the favorite, and I'm like, the Eagles will not send one of the best pass rushers in the NFL to the fucking Cowboys to then pair
Yeah,
him
people
with
are
Micah
crazy.
Parsons to see two times a year. Fucking high.
Yeah. So that's all the receivers. I guess we're just going to hit the offense today because
I
we have
guess
run
so.
out of time.
Yeah.
Um, Since we did hit offense, though, I did want to hear your thoughts on because we're not really going to touch the combine. We'll talk about draft players like down the road, but I did want to hear your thoughts on Xavier Worthy as a Texas fan because he broke the combine basically with his speed.
Yeah, Texas wide receivers hit the two fastest speeds, so Mitchell and Worthy. But both guys are very good. I think Mitchell is more of a go and get it type of receiver. I think Worthy is a very good. I think Worthy is kind of in line with like a faster Smith for the Eagles, Devonta Smith. So I think they're pretty similar in that aspect where they run very good routes. They're both slight framed. He's just incredibly fast. I mean, not that
Yeah,
Devonta Smith is not fast, but he's record breaking fast. But yeah, I think he's very good. He
yeah, he
gets
could be the
open
fastest
a
guy in the
lot.
league
So
literally next year.
yeah, he's certainly good. He's not built like Tyreek Hill, but
Dude, I've seen that he probably is now in first round talks, like towards the end of the first round
yeah, it's crazy. He
after the
was like
combine
a
report.
second and third round possibility, and now boom, first round because
And
of his speed.
that really scares me because it literally, to me, I feel like he is literally going to be the Chiefs' new Tyreek Hill. I think they're going
Yeah,
to end up drafting him if he
yeah.
falls to him.
I'm seeing some rumors to him going to the Chiefs as well, and that sucks. That sucks. And being a Texas fan, I don't want to root for a Texas player on the Chiefs. I just don't. I don't want. I
Yeah.
don't want to see it. And gosh, fuck, don't let that happen. Come on. Come on.
Hopefully somebody trades up ahead of him and takes him or something, or somebody just
I want him
takes
to go to some place where the guy has just a massive arm. Let him go to Buffalo. Let him go to Buffalo. Just get deep
He'd
balls
be
from Josh Allen
nasty.
all day. I love it. I love it.
I could see the Bills taking him. I could
Yeah.
absolutely see that. I think they should actually. Now that you're
Yeah.
saying it,
Now there's no
that'd be
Gabe Davis
sick.
in town, right? That'd be sick.
James would lose his mind if they
Yeah, he
drafted
would.
Xavier Worthy. I
Yeah, he
would.
would.
Shit.
That'd be awesome.
But yeah, I gotta go. So
All right, buddy. Yeah,
wrap it
that
up
is
here.
another wrap on another episode. The best way to support our show, as always, leave a rating or review on all platforms you listen on. And of course, by liking our show. Make sure you subscribe to the Flea Flicker Show on YouTube. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on social media at Flea Flicker Show. And thank you once again, Flea Flicker Nation, for tuning in. Till next time, we'll see you.
Peace.